Hey, Tim Alden here. Today we're going to show you how I do my lasered leather hat patches. So we just got this back from the laser guy, and you'll notice that sometimes they'll feel a little bit dry. So we're going to put some neat's foot oil on this, just a real thin coat, just to kind of condition this before we stick it to our hat. Once we do that, we're going to cover the entire back with the 1/2-inch double-sided basting tape from Springfield Leather. I feel like theirs is the stickiest. So we're going to go ahead. I just got a little bit of neat's foot oil in this jar. You don't want to get too much on this because it might bleed on your hat. But we're just going to, it'll darken this patch as well, which I definitely like, but it's just going to make sure that this is not too dry. Definitely when you put the heat of the laser on, it will dry it out a little bit. We're going to go ahead and let that dry, and then we'll come back and stitch it on. Okay, so we waited for our oil to dry on our hat patch. We're going to go ahead and stick our double-sided tape to this. We're just going to go ahead and coat the entire thing. Run along these straight edges. Just leave it hang a little to the outside. Just makes it easy. I like to coat the whole thing. It just gives me better holding power. Tape's cheap, and if you screw up a hat or a patch, it's just wasted time. So this one we didn't quite make to the bottom. We got a little bit of a gap there. We're going to go ahead and just move that down to the bottom. We don't quite have enough room for a 1/4 inch tape. Just take our rotary cutter along this side where they're sticking out. Okay, so now we got our double-sided tape on here. We're going to go ahead and peel that off. So one thing that I found with these rectangle hat patches is that the sewing machine will push the patch a little bit, and it'll want to turn it sideways. If you've done these before, you may have experienced that. And so I line it up center and I tip it just a little bit. We're talking like a hair down on this side, because we're going to stitch across the bottom first. And that's going to start the process of pushing that patch up. Just something with the machine, as it's walking, it'll shift that patch a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and press that down real good, and we'll head towards the sewing machine. You want to have this about 3/8 of an inch from this seam here. That's another key, is just making sure that you're clear of that seam, because when things roll around from the brim, there's a little bit of bulk in there, and it's hard to get in there with the sewing machine. Okay, so we're going to open up the back, and we're going to flip this sweatband up and out of the way. And we're just going to start right on this corner in the middle of this border and the outside. And so once we get that started, I'm going to let go of my threads, and I'm going to be ready to manipulate this brim however I need to keep things flat and moving smoothly through the machine. And so we want to hit right in the center of that angle. So we're going to pivot. We want to push the hat down. We want to make sure that when we come off of this little bit of a hill and bulky spot, that it doesn't take a big stitch here. We're going to go slow. Just going to manually shorten that stitch so we're right in the middle of that angle. Want our needle coming up. And so this is the part where people kind of have a little bit of trouble. The main thing is you want to keep your hat patch down, and don't be afraid to manipulate the hat to keep it flat and smooth going through. The hat will pop back up. That's not a problem. And so just keep your patch held down. Keep all the bubbles out of it. Pop that out. And make sure you have that sweatband pulled out of the way as you're coming down and as you stitch across a couple to tie this off. So we're not going to backstitch, we're just going to stitch in the same holes. Be real careful. Stitch over 3, get the needle coming down and then back it off. And we've stitched our hat patch on. So we'll go ahead and just make sure that these are pulled up tight. There's a little bit of a loop on the back on that one. Snip these real close. Don't burn them on the back side just because everything's made of nylon and catch on fire. But go ahead and burn the threads on the front, just to make sure that they don't come loose. Real careful. Just want that tiny little plug there. So there we have a nice hat patch stitched on. If you have any questions about this or the machines that we like to do different jobs, I know there's a lot of confusion as far as what machine to stitch hat patches on. We get emails weekly, if not daily, asking about these machines. So don't hesitate to give us a call or see if we can help you get set up with the right machine. Thanks for stopping by.